are passwords so important? Or why is it important that we have better ones than the ones that we do have, because the ones that we do have are embarrassingly bad?
Bad passwords are one of the easiest ways to compromise a system. For somebody who has a very common 8-character password, it can literally take less than a second for a computer to go through the possibilities and pull that password out.
Strange occurrences and UFOs that are beyond human comprehension are often attributed to aliens, just like people have been saying that aliens probably built the pyramids in Egypt. But Edward Snowden looks beyond the rumors, and as a former NSA intelligence contractor and whistleblower who exposed classified documents revealing the existence of global surveillance programs, he has once again shocked the world with a revelation about UFOs that is both terrifying and deeply concerning. If true, we are left with two questions. How long have we been deceived, and how long before we lose control of our planet? Join us as we look into Snowden's revelations and uncover the unsettling truths about UFOs. Edward Snowden, an IT systems expert contracted by the National Security Agency, made a bold move that would forever change his life and the way the world viewed government surveillance. Traveling to Hong Kong, Snowden met with 3 journalists, handing over thousands of top-secret documents that exposed the NSA's surveillance of American citizens. To Snowden, this act was a stand for justice, a whistleblower's mission to uncover government overreach. But to the U.S. government, it was treason. He was swiftly accused of violating the Espionage Act. Snowden had a plan to escape the legal and political storm he knew would follow. After sharing the documents, he intended to fly to Ecuador via Russia, hoping to seek asylum. However, when his plane touched down in Moscow's Sheremetyevo International Airport, his plans fell apart. This is where it gets really interesting. His passport had been revoked by the U.S. government, stranding him in the Russian transit zone. He was soon ushered into a room where Russian intelligence agents assisted him, but at a price. They wanted access to the secrets he carried. Snowden firmly declined, saying he didn't cooperate with the Russian intelligence services. He hasn't, and he won't. To ensure he couldn't be coerced, Snowden had destroyed his access to the archives before leaving Hong Kong. Knowing the complexity of the journey ahead, for 40 days, Snowden remained in limbo in the Moscow airport, trying to find a country willing to grant him asylum. After being turned down by 27 nations, he eventually settled in Russia, where he continues to reside. Reflecting on the events, Snowden dismisses claims that he set out to destroy the NSA. He stated that people think he's this crazy guy, an extremist, but that 2013 wasn't about surveillance. It was about a violation of the Constitution. While preparing a presentation on China's surveillance for the CIA, Edward Snowden was struck by the extent of China's domestic and international spying, which was carried out with surprising openness. This realization led him to reflect on the U.S. government's own surveillance practices. Initially, he believed that the NSA's spying was limited to foreign targets, but as he delved deeper, he discovered that the U.S. had similar capabilities and was applying them domestically. The NSA's internal strategy to collect it all meant that vast amounts of data were being gathered on ordinary citizens without their knowledge, blurring the lines of the Fourth Amendment. This discovery caused Snowden to feel conflicted as he realized the government was secretly violating constitutional rights on a massive scale. He eventually decided to share classified documents with journalists, believing the public had a right to know. However, he set strict conditions for the material's release, ensuring that the government was allowed to respond before any stories were published. Snowden's actions were driven by his conviction that the U.S. was engaging in practices no different from the Chinese government, and that these violations of privacy could no longer remain hidden. Snowden's revelations sparked significant changes in the way U.S. intelligence agencies operate, particularly in how they handle privacy. American tech companies now encrypt much of their web traffic in response to the fallout from Snowden's leaks. In his memoir, Permanent Record, Snowden recounts his journey and and life in the intelligence world. However, his story remains a legal battleground. On September 17th, the U.S. Justice Department filed a lawsuit to seize all proceeds from his book, claiming he had violated non-disclosure agreements by not submitting the manuscript for government review. Snowden's attorney, Ben Wisner, counters that the book contains no new secrets, only material already made public by respected news outlets, and that the government's review system is under court challenge. Snowden's story is one of high-stakes choices, government power, and the cost of revealing the truth. But it seems Snowden is not done yet, and his new revelations about UFOs are quite intriguing. In an explosive commentary, former U.S. National Security Agency employee and renowned whistleblower Edward Snowden has boldly claimed that the United States' recent efforts to shoot down unidentified flying objects over U.S. and Canadian soil are nothing more than a calculated diversion. Snowden, famous for exposing the NSA's mass surveillance program in 2013, is now pulling back the curtain on what he believes is a political stunt designed to shift attention away from the much more serious Nord Stream pipeline investigation. In a sharp and pointed tweet, Snowden stated that the White House spent the month of February scrambling jets to fire $400,000 missiles at the local hobby club's $12 balloons. His words follow reports indicating that these mysterious UFOs are not extraterrestrial spacecraft or advanced foreign technology, but simply civilian balloons launched by local hobbyists. Snowden's wry commentary paints a picture of an administration more interested in creating dramatic headlines than addressing the true crises at hand. According to Snowden, this scramble to shoot down UFOs is a ploy meant to divert public attention from the sabotage of the Nord Stream pipelines, an incident that holds far more significant geopolitical weight. He criticized the media frenzy surrounding the UFO encounters, calling it engineered panic designed to distract national security reporters from more critical investigations, such as the one surrounding the Nord Stream explosion. The North American Aerospace Defense Command, NORAD, revealed last week that 3 UFOs were detected, 2 of which were shot down by the U.S. military over American soil, while the third was found hovering above Canada. The public, already intrigued by the surge in UFO sightings, became further captivated by the idea of military engagements with unknown objects. However, Snowden was quick to dismantle the mystique, pointing out that this spectacle serves a strategic purpose: to refocus the public eye on the balloon nonsense, instead of pressing issues like the U.S. defense budget or the Nord Stream bombings. Snowden's claims gained credibility when paired with the revelations made earlier this month by investigative journalist Seymour Hersh. Hersh alleged that U.S. Navy divers, under the guise of participating in a NATO exercise called Baltops 22, planted explosives on the Nord Stream pipelines last June in collaboration with Norway. 3 months later, these remotely triggered bombs destroyed 3 of the 4 pipelines, a move with far-reaching energy and political implications across Europe. The White House, however, has denied Hersh's claims, leaving many to wonder if the true story is being deliberately buried. What makes Snowden's argument particularly compelling is the sheer theatricality of the UFO incidents. Shooting down balloons with high-tech missiles is reminiscent of a carefully staged drama, crafted to captivate audiences while keeping them distracted from the darker, unaddressed realities lurking beneath the surface. If Snowden's assertions hold water, the entire UFO spectacle is little more than a smokescreen, an attempt to throw the public off the scent of one of the most significant acts of sabotage in recent history. The burning question is, why would the U.S. government go to such lengths to keep attention away from the Nord Stream investigation? Could it be the fear of international backlash or deeper involvement in the incident than the administration is willing to admit? Snowden warned people not to fall for this. The media and government were working together to create panic and shift our focus. Newsrooms were even ordered to prioritize a press conference about UFOs over the Nord Stream story. As a result, everyone's attention was pulled away, and the UFO distraction worked. Snowden believes this was all orchestrated by the government to cover up bigger issues, and he found out through internal government resources that there was no real evidence of aliens contacting Earth. Instead, it was just another tactic to keep the public distracted distracted from the truth. Edward Snowden found it interesting yet frustrating that even highly classified information was kept hidden from many government employees, with access restricted based on security clearances. This limitation extended not just to alien encounters, but also to other significant topics. For example, government databases confirmed that humans had landed on the moon, climate change was real, and the conspiracy theories about chemtrails left by planes were false. However, Snowden questioned whether this internal information system was trustworthy, suspecting that the way information was compartmentalized might prevent people from seeing the full picture. Snowden gave an example of how vital information was kept offline. Colonel Philip Corso, involved in government UFO projects, kept top-secret documents in a physical filing cabinet at the Pentagon. None of this information was digitized, and it was only available to those with specific clearance. On Russian state TV, while the government and media had embraced the UFO topic, Snowden remained skeptical. He believed this was a tactic to create fear and divert attention from critical matters like the Nord Stream pipeline sabotage. To him, the sudden shift in narrative felt off, and he questioned the motives behind it. Snowden warned people to stay vigilant and not get swept up in the distraction, urging them to consider what the government might be hiding behind the UFO story. Edward Snowden stressed the importance of paying attention to President Biden's instruction to the intelligence community to thoroughly investigate the phenomenon of unidentified aerial objects. This, according to Snowden, could reveal the true intentions behind the government's sudden openness on UFOs, which he suspects to be part of a larger charade. But that's not even all. Snowden found it significant that, in June 2021, President Biden held the first ever daily intelligence briefing solely dedicated to unidentified aerial objects. During this session, the president learned that these strange occurrences were not confined to the U.S., but were a global issue affecting America's allies and partners as well. In response, a bipartisan effort led to the establishment of an office within the Pentagon to study these phenomena, marking a major shift from the previous dismissive attitude the government had displayed. Now, the government is collaborating with the intelligence community, academic institutions, and even the private sector to investigate these incidents thoroughly. What struck Snowden the most was the change in tone. UFOs, which had been treated as a joke for decades, were now taken seriously by officials, with prepared notes and formal addresses. This sudden shift prompted curiosity. Why now? What had changed to make the government reverse its approach to UFOs? Snowden expressed suspicion, suggesting that this newfound openness might be part of a broader scheme. He cited a classified Senate hearing on UFOs, attended by high-ranking military officials like General Glenn Van Herk, commander of North American Aerospace Defense Command, NORAD. The involvement of such figures only deepened the intrigue, raising more questions about the true nature of these briefings. According to Snowden, the government's control over the UFO narrative is almost absolute because space is beyond the reach of ordinary people. With no way to independently verify extraterrestrial encounters, the public is forced to rely on the information provided by those in power. Snowden believes that this allows the government to create a fictional enemy, UFOs, and justify limitless funding for advanced space programs, which could include fabricated images and exaggerated threats for propaganda purposes. Snowden also referenced the Battle of Los Angeles during World War II, an infamous incident in which the U.S. military fired at what they believed to be unidentified aircraft over Los Angeles. He connected this historical event to the modern-day UFO narrative, expressing doubt about the true nature of the recent developments. In his view, the UFO phenomenon has become the perfect boogeyman to divert public attention and direct government funding towards military and space initiatives, all while the truth remains obscured. The skepticism Snowden holds is rooted in his understanding of the deep state's ability to manipulate narratives, using fear and secrecy to push hidden agendas. While the UFO phenomenon might be real, he cautioned that its use as a political and financial tool must not be overlooked. Edward Snowden underscored one one undeniable fact. Discussions about UFOs and the Senate's efforts to secure funding for further investigation have gained significant traction. Senator Marco Rubio became a key figure in these conversations, highlighting the potential threat unidentified aerial objects pose to the national airspace. This push for heightened awareness and defense led to a recent closed-door Senate meeting, which is expected to pave the way for increased spending on national defense and air defense systems. However, Snowden remains skeptical, asserting that the UFO discourse is a smokescreen, a distraction from larger, more pressing global issues, such as the potential for World War III involving Russia and China. In his view, the government is using the UFO narrative to manipulate public opinion, diverting attention from this looming geopolitical threat. Rubio, while acknowledging that UFO sightings over the United States are not new, insists that recent incidents of unidentified objects being shot down are part of an ongoing pattern. Despite his belief in the existence of UFOs, Rubio shares Snowden's concern that the government may be exploiting this topic as a convenient scapegoat to justify bolstering defense systems. In support of this theory, the speaker referenced past show guests like Michael Horn, who has spoken about UFO encounters spanning thousands of years, and former FBI Special Agent John D'Souza, who predicted the rollout of a planned UFO fake invasion as a deliberate distraction. These viewpoints align with Snowden's assertion that the UFO narrative is being strategically used to direct public focus away from more critical global concerns. During his appearance on Joe Rogan's podcast, Edward Snowden delved into the intriguing topic of UFOs and the government's potential concealment of extraterrestrial evidence. He stated that if the government were indeed hiding information about alien encounters, it would be hidden damn well, suggesting that the level of secrecy surrounding such matters is extraordinarily high. This remark was underscored by a sense of irony, as Snowden humorously noted that despite his extensive access to classified information during his time at the NSA, he found nothing substantial that would confirm the existence of extraterrestrials. Do you agree with Snowden that the recent talks about UFOs are indeed government cover-ups? We would love to know in the comments. If you enjoyed watching this video, don't forget to leave a like, share it with your family and friends, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss our next updates. Also, click the next video on your screen to enjoy more exciting content.